Thank you very much. My name is David Letterman. Welcome to The Tonight Show. Now, before we actually begin the show, there is something that I should say. It's just kind of a little nuisance. You may have read about it. There's a little health problem here in Los Angeles, and it's trivial by comparison to other things. But the NBC nurse here did want me to ask you folks, how many of you are here for the free brain fever inoculations? Good. Nice to have you here. It's a little 98 degrees here in lovely Burbank, and as a result of that, those of you who may be warm in the studio audience, relax, because during the commercials, the NBC pages will come up there and lick you to help try and cool things down. What a wonderful show we have for you folks this evening. Doc Severinsen is here. Ed McMahon is not with us tonight. He's home spit polishing his nose. Over here, Tommy Newsom, ladies and gentlemen, and the NBC Orchestra. Tommy and I went to dinner last night. He likes going to McDonald's because he likes the uniforms, but we didn't go there last night. We went to a different place, and it was pretty exciting. He has some wonderful news. He's just been named to the Inanimate Object Hall of Fame, and so we're all very, very proud and happy. For dessert, it was interesting. It's not what I would have ordered for dessert, but he had the baked Ohio. And baked Ohio, yeah, it's kind of a switch. That's what we call a switch, as opposed to the baked. There you go. See how much fun comedy is? Well, let's see. I heard some interesting information with regard to crime in these great United States. Apparently now, New York City is number 7 as far as crime statistics go in this country. Los Angeles is number 2. A note of pride coming from the band with that. By God, we're proud of it, too. We'll be number 1 next year, Dave. And the number 1 place for crime in this country, as it turns out, is any 7-Eleven store. Now, I thought that was it's just a joke there. The other unbelievable thing that I heard, and I keep hearing this over and over again, so I don't know if it's true or I don't know if it's just hype, but they now claim, authorities, that New York tap water tastes better than any other tap water. I don't know. See, I lived in New York for about 8 months, and I found that the only good thing about New York tap water, on a hot day, you have friends over, and you don't feel like making a big fuss. Pour them some glasses of New York tap water. Chances are they're going to think it's iced tea. See, that's about the thing. Here's some advice for you. It's about that time of year where I have to make my annual trip to the DMV. Do you know what that is? The Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, here in Los Angeles, let me give you a piece of advice. If a relative or a loved one, husband, spouse, whatever, turns up missing 2 or 3, 4 days, before you call the police, check one of the lines at the DMV, all right? Because now, I had to take my driver's test again. Now, this is interesting. The woman on the other side of the counter who is now going to grade my driver's test appears to have successfully avoided any formal education, you know. And she no. And well qualified for the job. She looks like she may have spent several years living in the trunk of a Buick. So she'll be grading my test. Now, the interesting thing, you go there, this, I believe, is the last place on the face of the earth where you can witness adults trying to cheat on a written examination, you know? I'm standing behind a guy who is about the size and shape of a silo, see? And he says to me, he's looking over there, and he says, you know, number 5, where it says address, what'd you put for that one? You know, it's, here's another tip. If you're out of town and you're looking for a good place to eat, just because a restaurant advertises that it has its own ambulance, doesn't mean the food's going to be great. So, now, It's, June 1981, and the year is just about half over, and I believe that regardless of what happens from here on out, historians will recount 1981 as the year that McDonald's introduced Chicken McNuggets. I think so. Now, let's assume for a minute that there is a portion of the chicken anatomy that can accurately be described as nuggets. Is this something you want to eat, huh? Chicken McNuggets. You know, you never hear any really good news when you go to the doctor. The best news you can hear, I guess, is you're fine, everything's perfect, no problem. You never hear any really good information like, Dave, you're not getting enough beer. You're not getting enough ice cream or fried foods either. And you should start having sex with younger women. I'm telling you, you're going to... kind of a passing thought. I really didn't mean anything by that. It's just a passing thought there. Now, I was going to tell you something here about... you know, I've made a little note on this card. I've completely forgotten what it's about. Just a moment. Wait, please. Pardon me. Let me see here. See, here's where we are. If anybody has a joke that would fit under that heading, I've forgotten what it is. Do you remember ambulance? Remember how much fun that one was? You all seem to like Chicken McNuggets pretty well. All right, now cover the left eye. See how you do with that one. I think it was a terrific joke. Let me, motions... Oh, I know what it was. Do I have time for it now? There's a radio program. This will all be edited out. When you folks are at home watching this, just like Johnny was here, no problem. In fact, the way things are going, Johnny might be here. I may go get him. The Larry King Show. Does this ring a bell with you folks? Okay. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, it's a all-night radio talk show. From coast to coast, people call in. Fascinating program. People call in and occasionally get stuff like, Larry, I worked for the post office for 30 years, never once had a paper cut. You know, odd stuff like that. But usually it's interesting stuff. They had a couple of weeks ago the woman who was the past chairman of an organization called Coyote, which is a body of women's, poor choice of words, who, it's for prostitutes. It's a professional organization for prostitutes. And she was talking about how the American public really does not understand the rigors of that occupation. She said when she was working that she could handle, again, a poor choice of words, she would have about 20 to 30 customers a day. And she says, people don't fully understand the complications of that. And I thought to myself, well, of course. I mean, the motion sickness alone, good heavens. No. I'm glad you folks are here. We have a keen show for you this evening. Bert Convy will be joining us. One of my all-time favorite motion picture actresses, Terry Garr, is here. And, of course, Mr. Weather, Willard Scott, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. The Tonight Show will continue right after this. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Tommy Newsom over there with the orchestra. Doc Severinsen is right here. And the studio audience is neatly assembled where the studio audience is supposed to be. And nice to see you here. Before we get rolling, and rolling, I guess, is the correct term to use, I got a little program reminder later tonight on the Tomorrow Show. Rona Barrett, who now is not only show business, she's doing insightful, hard-hitting commentaries, and tonight I saw her taping this one. If you're up later, watch for it. It's entitled, Shouldn't Motel Soap Be Bigger?
Don't want to miss it. By the way, David, I met some people today that watched the show last night, and they were very disappointed in you.
Well, we've heard that before.
They said he does a great job. He's wonderful. He does a great job. But he didn't talk about any new television shows that he might be doing.
Well, the new show, I guess, is the miniseries coming up on NBC.
You have one coming up?
It's going to be another Shogun.
Fantastic.
It's the Earl Hofert story. The man who invented the edible toupee. Now, but seriously, and you know, no, I do have, and I don't like doing this plugging stuff.
I know you don't, but
I hardly ever have anything to plug, as it turns out. But we got this, you know what HBO is, that home box office cable TV?
Yes, and there's a few other things, too.
No, but it's a cable.
You can buy that in a drugstore. It's a patent medicine.
Really?
HBO.
Is that what the truckers use all the time?
That's right.
Yeah. No, this is well, I have a little ad for it right here. But HBO, we discussed it one night on the show. You can't get it here. You can only get it in Cuba or the Maritime Provinces of Canada. The only two places that get this. Now, here's how they describe it. It's David Letterman looking for fun. I guess you'll be ordering one of these, won't you? Now, let me just briefly read to you how they've described this show that cost them a bundle. A lighthearted comedy spoof. I don't know about you, but whenever I see the word spoof in print, I know I'm in for a good time, huh? I mean, there are truth in advertising laws. If it says spoof, this thing must be a spoof. And all seen through the eyes of that uniquely imaginative funny man, David Letterman. Parentheses, Johnny Carson's frequent guest host. Hilarious highlights include rafting on the Los Angeles River. Let me tell you right now, folks, that ain't in there. A tour of the movie stars' homes in Beverly Hills, that's in there. Fun Center in Hollywood, that will be there. Fun places to eat. This is another phrase I like. It's a Letterman laugh fest. And you'll love every minute of it. You can see this. Actually, I'm quite proud of this show. You can see it June 12, 15, 20, 23, and 28. It's like those cartoons in the morning. They just keep rerunning them, you know. So that's it. Thanks for giving me the
on HBO.
HBO. I don't know how you get it. Nobody knows how you get it. Do I have time for this, or should
Certainly we have time.
The last time I hosted this show, aside from last night, was apparently Jan 28th. And I received a letter shortly thereafter from a woman in Cincinnati. And it was an interesting letter. I thought I would share it with you. Concerning David Letterman. Funny man, David Letterman. I guess that should be, shouldn't it, according to HBO?
King of spoof.
Makes it sound like there's something wrong with you, doesn't it? Oh, a spoofster. That would be another. Concerning David Letterman, why, oh why, do you have to wipe your hands and your mouth on the beautiful drapes?
Yes.
Oh, apparently we've touched a nerve here. Second paragraph. You are disgusting. Clean your hands and face before you come out on the show. And I'm not afraid to sign my name. Dorothy Peterson, Cincinnati, Ohio. You will probably never see this letter, but at least I have it out of my system. I've wanted to write it every time I've seen you. P.S. Last night, January 28th, I watched you again, and for once, you didn't mess up the drapes. Someone must have told you about your habit. So, I enjoyed the show. Since you didn't wipe on the drapes. The drapes are beautiful. So keep your hands and mouth away from them. Otherwise, you are okay. Sorry, your show went off the air. I thought that was sweet. That's from Dorothy Peterson of Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you very much, Dorothy, and we won't be doing any of that anymore. The Tonight Show will return right after this.